haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
The feed store in Sebastopol welcomes Chick Days. Besides all the adorable chicks, you'll have everything you need to care for them too. Most importantly, the feed store has more than 75 combined years of experience and knowledge in how to properly care for your baby group. Don't forget the first Friday of each month, all loyalty members receive 10% off their purchases. The feed store and a whole lot more in Sebastopol.
It is 8:57 at KSRO, and just enough time for our earworm of the day, this time from the Beatles, because the
KSRO.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. The U.S. Secretary of Defense is calling out to Russian jet pilots the downing of a U.S. drone.
The U.S. has called this incident everything from dangerous to juvenile. It happened yesterday morning about 7 a.m. local time. Two Russian fighter jets, Su-27 fighters, intercepted a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone doing what the Pentagon described as routine surveillance in international airspace over the Black Sea. The Pentagon says the fighter jets harassed the drone for about a half hour, buzzing dangerously close.
Fox's Mike Tobin.
The U.S. agrees that the fighters landed back in Crimea, but says that one of the fighters was indeed damaged.
And a change in the manslaughter case against Alec Baldwin, a special prosecutor who doubles as a New Mexico state legislator, stepping down from her role in the case involving the death on the set of the movie Rust. America's listening to Fox News.
I'm Stephen Curry.
I'm Steve Kerr. I'm Klay Thompson.
I'm Draymond Green.
I'm Kevon Looney. This is where the Warriors play.
KSRO, Santa Rosa.
From ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Stocks sharply lower on Wall Street and around the world today. The failure of 2 U.S. banks stoking concern over the health and liquidity of banks around the world. The Moody's ratings agency downgrading the entire banking system. ABC's Lindsay Watts has more from Washington.
Most experts say the banking system is safe, and the failures of Silicon Valley and Signature banks were due to their own mismanagement. Still, the Moody's rating agency has downgraded the entire banking system. It says conditions in the industry are rapidly deteriorating.
A judge today in Emeryville, Texas, hearing a petition challenging the use of mifepristone, the so-called abortion pill. ABC's Maria Villarreal is in Amarillo with more.
In November, anti-abortion groups filed a lawsuit against the FDA questioning the safety and effectiveness of mifepristone, a drug approved more than 20 years ago by the FDA. Plaintiffs' lawyers claim the FDA exceeded its authority, and they're asking the judge to pull the drug, forcing the agency to try and get it reapproved again, which could take years and could affect 64 million women across the country.
Following a series of close calls in the aviation industry, the FAA holding a safety summit today, they say to review the nation's aerospace system.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg saying the U.S. has the safest air transport system. He's calling the safety conference after a number of dangerous runway near misses.
These incidents are still extremely, extremely rare. We have about 45,000 flights a day, and it would be alarming to see more than 1 or 2 of these close calls a month.
The FAA Safety Summit will hear from pilots, unions, air controllers, and other key workers. Andy Field, ABC News, Washington.
The U.S. blaming Russia for a collision that caused the loss of an unmanned American surveillance drone over the Black Sea. The U.S. says a Russian jet collided with the drone, damaging its propeller, forcing the Pentagon to crash it into the water. You're listening to ABC News.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket, pushing a wet, heavy mop around,
Then cleaning them off when you're done so it doesn't grow bacteria. A hassle on top of a hassle. Try Swiffer Wet Jet. With Swiffer Wet Jet, you start with a fresh pad and cleaning solution every time. And when you're done, you just toss the pad. Swiffer Wet Jet, the faster, easier, cleaner way to clean your floors.
Businesses don't run on automation or algorithms alone. What powers businesses are your people and the people they serve. At Cintas, your dedicated service reps understand what you need to help you keep your employees feeling safe, comfortable, and performing their best. So your business can too. For workwear, essential cleaning products, first aid and safety supplies, and fire protection services, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
A Wisconsin man charged in a plot to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is changing his plea.
54-year-old Brian Higgins is one of the 5 men charged with providing material support for an act of terrorism. Records show Higgins is returning to court to change his not guilty plea, but it's unclear what he plans to change it to and whether he was offered a deal with a lesser charge. Evidence shows Higgins trained in a so-called kill house with others in a remote hunting area, and he allegedly drove past Whitmer's house in September of 2020 to scout and record video. Informants and undercover FBI agents were inside that group. The plot was foiled with Whitmer unharmed. Lionel Moyes, ABC News.
In a separate trial, 3 men were convicted in October in the plot to kidnap the governor. A huge blob of seaweed 5,000 miles wide has started washing up on Florida's east coast. Dr. Brian LaPointe is a professor at Florida Atlantic University.
That is moving westward towards the Caribbean region and will be making its way to the Gulf of Mexico and South Florida in the coming months.
Scientists say the seaweed negatively affects the environment when it starts rotting. After 21 hours and 1,000 miles, Ryan Reddington and his dog team were first across the finish line in Nome, Alaska, becoming this year's winner of the Iditarod. Reddington's grandfather, known as the father of the Iditarod, helped co-found the race. This is ABC News.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean.
Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and sheets make cleaning look easy.
Dave Packer, ABC News.
Hi, I'm Steve Kerr.
Hi, this is Stephen Curry.
I'm Clay Thompson.
I'm Draymond Green.
And you're tuned to KSRO, Sonoma County's home of the Warriors.
Golden State Warriors play-by-play action on KSRO is sponsored by Healdsburg Lumber Company, Sonoma County's building supplier since 1875. By Hudson Street Design, window coverings, cabinetry, fixtures, and more. And by Malm Fireplace Center. Malm Fireplace Center makes a house a home.
I'm KSRO's Deon Tricios with Sonoma County's most accurate, most dependable forecast. No rain for today, sunny skies, high of 63, 54 along the coast. Wind speeds are light inland, but up to 20 miles an hour along the shores. Mostly clear skies for tonight, dropping to the 30s. It'll be in the mid-60s again for tomorrow, mostly sunny skies. Friday and Saturday, though, slim chances of rain, temperatures around 60 degrees. Depend on weather every 30 minutes. On FM News Talk 103.5 and 96.9, KSRO.
From the Fox News radio studios in Midtown Manhattan, giving you opinions and facts with a positive outlook. It's Brian Kilmeade.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the latest moments of the Brian Kilmeade Show. So glad you're here. Wednesday feels like a Friday. There's so much going on with the banks and with the war and everything else. Meanwhile, the President of the United States is on the West Coast raising money, not answering any questions. Oh, yeah, unless the Daily Show asks him. That is truly more important in the middle of a banking crisis. I'm looking right now at the stock market down 600 points. But don't worry, Mr. President. I know you like to sleep till 9 Eastern, so you should be getting up around now. Unless there's a banking crisis, then you're forced to get dressed even earlier than that. Let's get to the big three.
Now, with the stories you need to know, it's Brian's Big Three, sponsored by Crunch Fitness. Interested in owning your own business in a growing $30 billion industry? Check out Crunch Fitness at crunch.com.
Number 3.
These bank records prove that the Bidens did receive money through a shell company from the Chinese Communist Party. So this is the first link.
There you go. That was James Comer. Hunter hijinks exposed as bank records for Biden enterprises begin to pour into the House Oversight Committee. Why? Joe has to know how bad things are about to get for his family, but most of all, for him.
Number 2.
One of the Russian Su-27 aircraft struck the propeller of the MQ-9 several times. Before the collision, the Su-27s dumped fuel on and flew in front of the MQ-9 in a reckless and unprofessional manner.
Oh yes, reckless and unprofessional, taken down. That's what the Russians did to our Reaper drone in international skies. And our retort, calling them unprofessional. From the Afghanistan evacuation humiliation to the Chinese balloon watching, and now this brazen Russian attack, this administration radiates weakness.
Number 1.
I think the Fed's mandate about keeping FDIC insurance at $250 makes sense to me. But we changed all that over the weekend. And so at the end of the day, let this thing go under, because that's our democratic capitalist system, because when you're an idiot and it goes to zero, that's okay.
That is Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. Bank failures, all about incompetence, idiotic focus on inclusion, and not enough on profit and risk management. How many other banks like Signature, Silicon Valley have lackeys on the board and selfish, unethical CEOs in charge? So we'll talk about that. How about this? Credit Suisse, which I don't follow the banking, but a lot of people do on a daily basis. They say that they are basically a calamity of errors, so bad that the Saudis made it clear that their companies supporting them will not be giving them any more money, therefore causing a crash of their stock and people panicking. We're down now 633 points, just erasing and beyond the gains over the last few days. So what does this mean overall? Well, we know this, the Credit Suisse plummeting is not helping. We know that the Saudi National Bank backing out is not benefiting. We know, too, some details about what was going on behind the scenes at SVB. We know this guy, Greg Becker, who cashed out 1 week ago $3.4 million worth of stock and was telling his staff that the health of the bank is sparkling. Then it was announced that they were losing $1.8 billion, and they were trying to raise $2.25 billion. But when word got out about that, the whole thing crashed, money came out, and now there's a major Department of Justice investigation. Here we go. What really bothers me most is what I think they were wasting all their money on. What is the big picture here? When Governor DeSantis comes out and says, hey, this woke thing's got to stop, I'm thinking schools. When they come out and talk about hiring practices when it comes to college and admissions, I'm thinking this is just schools. But then you think about when it comes to investing and when it comes to ESG, the divesting of oil and gas, even though our country is fueled by it, and our competitors are just make more of it and make more money if we don't step in, we find out that the most powerful banks in the country have been incentivized not to invest your money or pension funds, mutual funds into anything ESG. All about electric, all about rare earth, which we don't control because we don't mine it. And now we find out it's into our banking system to the point where all they're focusing on is inclusion, to the point where, I don't know, most of the people on these boards are either appointed there from political positions or they're there for equity and equality. When you look at this bank in particular, the SVG, it turns out the only guy on the board with any type of banking experience is this guy, Tom King. He was appointed to the board in September. He was CEO of investment banking at Barclays. Okay, fine. So who is he? Well, 35 years experience. That sounds good. What else does he do? He gives to Democrats at a dizzying rate. He is a prolific contributor to Speaker Pelosi, a Hillary Clinton mega donor. When Donald Trump won the election, he prayed at the Shinto shrine when Donald Trump won, I guess for peace and serenity. He didn't get any. We know that. We know that for sure. We know they gave $73 million to BLM. Really? How did that money go? You might as well just flush it down the toilet. If I'm an investor at Silicon Valley Bank, how good do I feel that they sent $73 million on a movement? Don't you just want a bank that's going to take some of its profits and revenue, maybe yours, and put it towards things that will make it grow. And then I could decide with the money that I earn, raise, and invest, what to do with it. What about Signature Bank? They are Signature Bank. They mostly with fueled by crypto. They gave $1.2 million to Democratic causes, $750,000 to Republicans. Why are they so political? Because in case something like this happens, they'd have somewhere to go. They put together videos, a great cost it looks like, cringeworthy Broadway style, talking about their inclusion and their equity. That is what's happening in our banking system. Do you really think these are the only two banks investing all those money in this? And that's fine if you work in a profit, if you're figuring out a way to earn money with our money, but that's not the case. Listen to this Signature Bank seminar video. This has been shared on social media, so it's out there for all of us to see. Cut 17.
We talked about folks that are non-binary, that intentionally don't identify as male or female. So some of those folks use they, them as their pronouns. Z is another gender-neutral pronoun, and the other part of that would be here, spelled H-I-R.
Yeah, they have a pride council and presenting to everybody how to address everyone in their pronouns. Instead of getting hired at a place trying to work your way in and work your way up, we find out how everybody else has got to bend to equity and inclusion at our banking system, seminar after seminar. So we'll see if this is going to result in more regulation. It's hard to see that anybody clear-minded and not looking for political gain thinks that more regulation would be the key. Hiring the right people, putting the right board together, that would be a great start. And of course, the $250,000 per individual, the $100 billion put aside by banks, that's going to be the bailout for now. As for now, there's no bailout for us. Kevin O'Leary looked at this, sees the board, sees some of their moves, noticed they didn't adjust to the rising interest rates, which caused the crash for these two banks, and maybe Credit Suisse later today. Cut 19.
I think the Fed's mandate about keeping FDIC insurance at $250 makes sense to me. But we changed all that over the weekend. We said, doesn't matter how much you have. And I understand we want to keep confidence in the banking system. What I would have preferred is to allow this bank run by idiots, and I'm sorry to say these harsh words, but it's a fact. Silicon Valley Bank is the poster boy for idiot management now. That brand is radioactive waste. And so at the end of the day, let this thing go under, because that's our democratic, capitalist system, because when you're an idiot and it goes to zero, that's okay.
So he's talking about, if you know you're going to get paid back, you can go make risky behavior. You can have risky behaviors because you get to do your own thing, and you know that the depositors will be satisfied. Kevin O'Leary is flat out right. That's where he was out yesterday, trying to settle down the markets. Where's the president today? Probably knows he has nothing to say. He certainly can't ad-lib it. This is not his area. So here's more from O'Leary, cut 20.
As an investor in bank stocks, I won't invest anymore, because you're basically telling me that from now on, the regulatory environment on small regional banks is going to be so punitive, I don't think they can make money anymore. Remember this is the really key issue for everybody in America to think about. There are 11 sectors in our economy. We are the greatest economy on earth. One of them is financial services. It's the only sector that services all other 10. We have to make a decision. Do we want to turn this into a utility to service the other 10, or do we want it to be private? If it's private, you have to let the idiots go to zero, and we didn't do that this weekend.
So Senator Crapo says no need for regulation reform. Senator Majority Whip Dick Durbin asked whether there'd be any legislative response to the bank failures that could become law. He said, not that I know of. However, Sherrod Brown, chairman of the Banking Committee, told reporters he's going to push hard on making sure the laws are tougher. They're all to blame. They all blame inflation. Senator Josh Hawley, surprisingly, endorsed separating commercial and investment banks, a proposal long embraced by progressives. So we'll see where that goes. The other thing is the Dodd-Frank limitation. They had to get some of that regulation off. That's why 17 Democrats voted for it. They put it back, they all lose. Because these people are idiots, you don't have to change everything. So I could tell you, we can go over that a little bit more, but I do want to talk about the relatively breaking news, and that's what happened with this drone. So we have a Predator drone worth up to, when armed, $32 million, and is flying over international skies, over on Ukraine, over the Black Sea, and then 2 Russian jets get scrambled to stop it. We don't know or explore it. I never heard of this. They have their MQ-9s, and they drop gas on the Predator drone. And then the other jet comes by to empty more fuel on the Predator drone to maybe screw up the sensors, I don't know, or stop the camera from taping and providing surveillance, not sure.